Uh, Hope we all had a great day. If you can hear me, indicate. All right, thank you. Okay. Um, so in our previous class, we talked about a minute. In our previous class, we talked about CSS grid, you know, using CSS grid, also CSS animation, and we also got to talk about and practicalize media queries for responsive layouts. And also we talked about version controls and version controls using Git and pushing our code base to the cloud on the GitHub platform. And importantly, I shared a platform that will really help us to get good at our craft. That's the front-end mentor. And I believe at least we try to at least look at it, then make plans on how to go about designing things from that platform. Just trying your skills out, seeing what you can come up with. I think that's the best spec of being a front-end developer, seeing a design and just coding it out on the fly without guide. And with that front-end mentor, that platform that I shared in our last class, it will play a major role in sharpening our creative skills. So we have had our fair share we have had our fair share of HTML, also CSS. There's still a lot to talk about in these two areas, right? There is a whole litany of topics around them. But once you know the basics, once you know the basic and understand the basics, actually, it will be easier to transition to greater or higher areas or higher concepts or higher topics in HTML, even the more advanced topics in CSS too. And all this, for us to know them, we have to practice, learn, ask questions, watch videos on those areas, read documentations, and get to collaborate and build out some things with what we have learned so far. All right, why I'm making reference to all these things is we won't be talking much on HTML and CSS going forward. But that doesn't mean if you have any question, you shouldn't ask. If you have any question, even from the beginning, please go ahead and shoot. I will be happy to address them. And yeah, moving forward, we'll talk about the third part or the third skills or the third technology that you should know as a front-end developer. We have discussed HTML. We have also discussed CSS. And today we'll be talking about JavaScript. All right. So if you remember, or if you are present in the first class we had, I told us that front-end developments, there are three levels or three things you need to know to be able to build out our products, or at least a well interactive product, right? And those technologies are the HTML, that's your building block, the skeleton of I used a building as an example, the skeleton, the foundation, the building blocks and everything. And then we talked about CSS, that's making it beautifying our um, website or our web page. And I also use the building as an example. That's the painting part, putting furnitures and all that, right? Trying to make the building look beautiful. And then I also made reference to how JavaScript plays a role in this analogy. Thus, adding more interactivity to the building, like making the door open and close, making your switches on and off, that's your bulbs, like all those things you have to interact with to, get a feedback in a building. That's something JavaScript also does to our JavaScript does to. Yeah, good evening, Mary. Please mute your mic. Welcome. All right, thank you. So we talked about the JavaScript and the role it has to play in a web page. as interactivity, all those things we have to interact to get a feedback. So that's what JavaScript does on our web page. And we said that JavaScript is actually, I'm reading this from the widely recognized definition. JavaScript is a programming language primarily used in web development to create interactive and dynamic web pages by adding features like animations, user input validation, content updates, and more. We did animation with CSS. Yes, we did transitioning, we did animations too. But there is also a way, there is some complex animations that you have to introduce JavaScript. I mean, CSS is getting broader that you might not even need JavaScript to do some animations, but it's also good and advised to know those things, or the ways you can use JavaScript to apply a well advanced animation. So with JavaScript, you can shift that. You can make your web page interactive. We talked about form. If you remember when we were doing form, we created a form. In that form we have email, full name, the message part. We also have gender, that's the male and female in that form. With JavaScript, we can collect all those informations and then do whatever I want to do with them. Okay, so yeah, that's just the basics. That's just like a little bit here, things that you need to know before we jump into today's class. So give me a minute, I'll be sharing my screen. All right, someone asked a question. Still having problems with CSS animation. Gyros Shuhi. Okay. Can you direct your questions or DM me your questions, right, on CSS animations? I would like to go back to CSS in this class today, probably just for the time constraint, right? But just direct your questions to me. I will be ready, available to answer once you send them. And also, Judith, you said I should repeat. Please, can you repeat what you said about what JavaScript is? Oh, okay. I'm going to read out the definition again, right? JavaScript is a programming language. We have a lot of programming languages out there, right? We have a lot. We have C#, we have C++, we have Python. Don't know if you have heard of Python too. We have PHP. I think PHP is actually built on. Yeah, I know, like there's a lot, right? But JavaScript is widely used when it comes to web development because that's what your browser is bundled on, right? Your browser is written to understand JavaScript and run JavaScript programs or code, okay? And also JavaScript was created in 1995, right? It was created in 1995, and since then, yeah, we have been using JavaScript. So it was actually created to, make the web a little bit more interactive, right? And that's exactly still the use case till this time, right? And yeah, Miriam, we have TypeScript here, but let's not go there. TypeScript is like a typed version of JavaScript, but it's more advanced way of writing JavaScript, but typed version, so that you are type checking every variables and everything. But let me not overcomplicate things. Let's just jump into the basics. And as we progress, we will definitely talk about other areas, especially the TypeScript part. Okay. Enough talk, right? Let's jump into it. All right. Indicate if you can see my screen. All right, thank you guys. And yeah, this is our website. This is where we stopped. I promised us that I'm going to build this website, build it out, like put more beauty to it. I will still do that, right? Trust me, I will. I will just be chipping in some things as we progress, so that we will not overspend time talking about design while we're missing out on the main topics. So yes, okay. This is our code. Let me zoom in as usual. This should be enough. Then this is my index.html. All right. Okay. Yeah, so how do we write JavaScript in our browser, or how do we like inject JavaScript in our code base? So there are two ways you can inject JavaScript in your code base. Yeah, the first method is applying an element called script, right? So at the very bottom of your body, like this is our body, this is where our body started, and go to the very bottom. Make sure you're at the very bottom before the body ended. Just enter, then write a script tag. Just scripts, then open and close. All right. So this is telling the browser that we're about to write JavaScript logics or functions or JavaScript or everything that has to do with JavaScript. We will write it inside the script element. Now you can add your JavaScript at the body, that's at the very bottom of the body, or at the header. You can actually come here also, add your, what is this? Sorry. You can come here also, add your script. You can still write your JavaScript stuff inside here, right? So, but most times you just be adding it at the very bottom before the end of the body tag. And why you do this, why you put it here is because remember I told us that coding or the system reads our code from the very top to the bottom. So why we're adding it at the bottom before the end of the body is we want all our contents to load first, right? We want all our content, that's all this content you have here, all these elements you have here, we want everything to load, okay, before it loads our JavaScript. Why is that? Some of the contents along the line, some of the contents will rely, some of the JavaScript function are going to write will rely on this content, right? So it will be off-put to have the scripts on top or on the top of your body when the content that needs them have not been rendered or loaded first. So that's where we have scripts at the very bottom of the body element. Now in the scripts, we can now write JavaScript code. Inside the script, we can write JavaScript code. Okay. Now there is a JavaScript code that is common. We call it alert. All right. And this is how to write the alert. You just write alert, just spell alert out here. Then curved braces, open and close. Okay. Curved braces or brackets, open and close. Then inside you have quotation, open and close also. Open and close the quotes. Then you can write anything you want to write. Okay. You can say, welcome to my portfolio. All right. Now, when I go back, I'm going to see an alert. If you can see this alert, it says, welcome to my portfolio. All right. So this is what this is what alert does, right? So in some websites, you just enter there, it will ask you, are you sure you want to proceed? Some use this alert function to create that pop-up or interaction. Now, if I click OK, it will go out. If I refresh again, it's going to show. My website is still loading. You can see it loading inside here. So if I click OK, it's going to show. Refresh again. Welcome to my portfolio. All right, so that is alert. That's just what alert does. You can write anything you want, actually, anything entirely, just to alert the user that, okay, they have gotten to this part and they need to see this information before they proceed. Now, there is another declaration we have in JavaScript, which is console.log. Open and close your curly braces. Sorry, curved braces. Open and close your curved braces. What the console does is, this is mostly used for debugging, right? You can just console log out something and you are going to get the information on your browser, right? You just want to confirm a particular declaration you're writing and you want to see the output. With console.log, you'll be able to get the output on your browser. Now, inside my console.log, I will write hello world. Okay, hello world. Now, where will I see this console log? To see your console logs or to see your logs in JavaScript. Sorry, I have to, let me just comment out this alert. I believe you understand this part. You understood this part, sorry. Refresh. Then to see your console log, you have to inspect. Remember how to inspect. Inspect your browser. Then let me still zoom in on this. I mean, we won't be needing much of this information, so I will just close it out. To see your logs, at the inspect tool, the very top, the tabs at the very top, you're going to see elements, you're going to see console, you're going to see sources, you're going to see network, you're going to see performance, memory. There is more, actually. Application and security, lighthouse, recorder. So I'll just like give us like a brief info on what each of these tab does, right? Elements is just to show your HTML elements, right? Just to display your HTML elements exactly the way you have it on your HTML file. Now, console is to log out all your logs. Like if you have any log on your system, this is where you're going to find all of them, right? You can see that I have hello world here. How can I close out this? I don't want to see it. All right, so just ignore this section here. Focus on what we have on beneath. I don't know if there's a way I can zoom in. Oh, well, okay. Let me see. Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, this is good. All right, I was able to zoom in. So you can see this hello world here, right? On my console, because I click on this console. Now I'm getting this from this hello world that I wrote here. If I added another thing, let's say hello world from Earth, from the solar system. Let me just put something from the solar system. Save. You're going to see hello world from solar system. All right, so that's how to get your logs. You can find them from the log tab, on the console tab, sorry. Now we have other ones. We have other tabs. We have sources, the sources for your file. We have network. Network is for inspecting network elements or API requests and every other thing. We'll get to use this tab as we progress. Performance is mostly to, monitor the performance of your application. There's a lot of things that comes with it, actually. Memory, application. Application is to where you can get, if there's some website that where you visit, you see clear cache or saved cookies or accept cookies or anything, right? So those cookies you're accepting, right, it is being saved on this application, right? That's why you notice that it is temporal per browser. That cookies is just for that browser. If you visit that same website on another on another browser or another device, you will still be told to accept cookies because the cookies or the information is being saved on the browser, right? It's just permanent on the browser. It's not being saved on the back end of that application. Too much talk, but don't worry, you'll get to understand it as we progress. Security, we have Lighthouse just to, inspect your, with Lighthouse, you can even figure out the best practices for your website. See if your website is meeting the best standard. You can even, calculate your website, the performance, how it is. Yeah, you can also calculate performance from this Lighthouse too. So there's a lot of things, right? There is more. You can actually go ahead and add more extensions and they will appear on your tab depending on those extensions, right? So yeah, that's just it. But for today, we are only going to be using the console, right? And with this console, we can get all the logs we have on our application. All right, so that is it for console. And we have just like you are seeing what why I started this thing with quotes, I ended it with quotes, right? This particular, if you're representing a value and you're starting with quotes and also ending with quotes, it means you are writing a string. There's what we call string. We'll still get to types, but for now, let's just talk about these two types, right? So we have uh, data types. Okay, data types. The first one is string, and the string is just used to represent a text or an information. Okay, just used to represent a text or any information at all, just representing a text. And you start a string with quotes, start with a quote, end with a quote. So you can write anything within. John Doe, with string, you can write the name of a place. In fact, all the nouns are represented with a string, right? And every other information that you just want to save as a text, you have to write it in a string. And how to do that is start with a quote, end with a quote, then write the name, or will write whatever you want to write within. I can say John Doe, just anything within a string. Okay. We also have number. We also have number. Okay. Numbers, you don't need to use a string to write numbers. You can just write the number out. You don't need to start it with a string or a quote or end it with a quote, right? Just write the number. Okay. Now I can say console.log, sorry, console.log. I can just write 50. 50 is a number. Okay. I can write another number beside it. I can say comma 10, right? And also numbers, these are whole numbers. I believe we know decimal numbers too. So you can either represent numbers as a whole or as a decimal. So you can have 20.5.5, like all those, decimal numbers, right? So these are how to write numbers. Now, when I go back to my console, you're going to see the number. Now see that the number is highlighted in blue. That's how the console highlights numbers, all right? Now see we have 50, we have 10, we have 25,773. Now when if I try to write a string inside this console without putting the necessary information, like putting quote and ending with quote. Let me say I want to write John. I'm going to get an error. You can see the error, uncut reference error. John is not defined, right? John is not recognized by the JavaScript or by the system. We have not declared John anywhere. So if I want to represent John, since it has not been declared, and I just want to save it as a text, I'll start with a string, end it with a string. Now you can see I have John here, no more error. So yes, that is how to represent strings and numbers. Now, well, I want this thing to say, wait, let me say script loaded. Just want to use this for example. A script has loaded. It can be anything. Now, the next thing we are going to talk about is we are going to talk about operators. Okay, we have a lot of operators. We have a lot of operators in JavaScript. Okay, and those operators are, we have plus. Okay, we have plus. That's adding two numbers together. We have minus. We have asterisk. Asterisk is multiplication or times. Then we have slash. That is division. The division symbol. So just like mathematics, we can run all these, do all these operators in JavaScript. So I can add two numbers together, I can minus two numbers together, I can multiply two numbers together, I can divide two numbers together. It's not only two numbers. You can do complex calculations with the operators, JavaScript operators. So now the first one should be, let me say, console.log, console.log 50 plus 10. 50 plus 10 will give us 60, right? Mathematically, yes. So when I come back, okay, I've not saved. If I save, I'm going to get 60 here, all right? Because I'm adding two numbers together. 50 plus 10 will give us 60. You can also do minus CLG or just console log. Sorry, I'm already used to this. It's short form for console log. In your VS Code, you just type out CLG and then you hit enter. Or we can still type it out, console.log. Anyway, you didn't fit, works fine. All right. Used to the CLG part. So sorry. This is for addition. Addition, that's with the plus sign. Then let's do subtraction. Subtraction, you can give me any number. Let's say 25 minus 3. All these things can only work under the script tag, right? Remember that. So in case if you're having any error while you're doing this, ensure that you're writing everything inside the script tag. So let's do minus 25 minus 3. So this is subtraction, which is the minus. Now 25 minus 3 should give us 22, right? Now when, oh, sorry, I've not saved. Now we have 22. Okay, that's the last one. Now there's another way to just be sure that what your console login is what you're getting. Now, if you can check the line that I'm doing this console, this minus, I'm console logging this, but I'm writing this JavaScript declaration on line 208. That's 208. So in my log, it respects the line, right? Yeah, you can see I have 208 here. So with this, I'll know that, okay, this is actually the log from line 208 or the declaration or the function or whatever you wrote in line 208. It's applicable on every other one. So this index that you have here is the name I gave the file. So JavaScript, it listens to the name of the file and also the line that you wrote that declaration. So that's the good thing about debugging with consoles, right? You'll be able to tell, okay, this log is from this file and this is the line that I wrote this declaration. Now, if I go to this particular one, this index, the second one, on line 201, I'm going to see where I console log 50, 10, 20.5773. That's 201. Remember 201. This is line 201. And in the same line, I have 50, 10, 20.5773. So yeah, that's just an extra. It will help you greatly when you are debugging. All right, so that's for subtraction, 25 minus 3. We also have which asterisk. Asterisk is CLG. Asterisk is, let's say, 10 times 10, okay? That's the multiplication. Now you notice that I'm ending each console log with semicolon. I'll write my console.log, open my curved braces, write my expression inside, and then end it with semicolon. Why I'm doing this, at times it is, your system will not cry, but it is best to get used to it now, right? Why this is important is you just like when we are writing our HTML, we are telling the system, this is where my div started, this is where my div ended. You can see the difference between the start and the end. The end has slash. So the same thing goes for JavaScript. You are using this semicolon to tell your system that this is where this particular declaration or this expression ends, right? So with this semicolon, your system will just run this function and stop it at this particular point here. So every other thing you have under it will be another declaration or another expression, another thing entirely, right? So good to have that in mind. So this is multiplication, right? So we have 10 asterisks. You can find asterisks in your keyboard on the number 8 tab, just shift, then 8. We have asterisks. That's the multiplication instead of times. And when we do this, here we can see 10 times 10 is 100, accurate mathematically. And the same thing, line 209, line 209. Then we have division, CLG. So I'm going to divide, let's say 25 divided by 5. Yeah, this one is pretty simple, right? 25 divided by 5 will give us 5, right? Now, when I come back, I'm going to see 5. Yeah. So yeah, you can perform basic mathematical calculations with JavaScript using the desired or the dedicated symbols. So these are just the basic 4. There is more to it, right? There's other ones. We'll talk about it as we progress. All right, so this is that for the operators, the basic operators. We'll still get to talk about the big guys. Then let's talk about variables. Variables. All right, someone said that the comments are different in JavaScript. Yes, the comments are different in every language, every programming framework or every programming language. The comments are different, but the command or the shortcut to write comments is still the same. The shortcut, which is control question mark if you're on Windows, or command question mark if you're on MacBook, right? But it's different. So you might still go ahead and, you know, dive deep trying to understand the difference between these comments or how to write it for HTML. Like this is how the HTML on looks like. Let me comment out this guy. Yeah, it starts with greater than, then exclamation mark, dash, dash, and then ends with dash, dash, and then greater than. Oh, this is less than, sorry. Then this is greater than. Yeah, this is for HTML. Then for JavaScript, it's just slash, slash. Before whatever I want to write, comments it out. For CSS, it's actually different also for CSS. Let's see the one for CSS. Yeah, you can see CSS slash asterisk, whatever you're writing, then asterisk slash. It's different, but they all do the same thing. They just silence that particular line of code or what you commented. Your system is not going to read it, but you, the developer, will be able to see it. Yeah, so let's talk about variables. All right, what are JavaScript variables? So JavaScript variables are mostly used to store values, right? You can use it to store data. You can use it to store anything entirely, right? Any data that you have in mind, you're going to end up using variables to store these data. All right. And we have 3 basic variables, right? Or the words you use to declare your variables, right? The keyword. The first one is var. Okay. All right. Then we have let. So let me write all this in one line. Sorry. We have var. We have let. We also have const. All right. So these 3 keywords, we call them keywords. Okay. So these 3 keywords does entirely different things, all right? So when you're using it for a particular declaration, you should know what it does and why you're using it for the declaration. It matters because you need to understand when to use var, when to use let, and when to use const. And let me take us back. Yeah, var was actually, in fact, any JavaScript code that was written from 1995 to 2015, any JavaScript code that was written from 1995 to 2015, all the keywords we are using var. All right, var was just from 1995 to 2015, and after that, we now have sorry, comment. We now have let and const. Let and const was from 2015 present. So in 2015, there was a major change in JavaScript. They introduced a lot of, in fact, most of the things we are going to be learning was introduced in JavaScript in 2015, right? And it changed the way JavaScript was. It even made it simpler and more easier to work with. But yeah, it is good to know that, yeah, this is the back history or the back dates to what has been happening with these keywords in time, right? So var, this is how to declare your JavaScript variable. So you're going to write the keyword first, right? You know, other ones, we have just been logging it out. But let's say I want to store these values. I want to store these information. I want to store this data before I even log it out or compute it or do anything with it. I'm going to use the variable keyword, right? So I can say var, right? You first of all write the keyword. Then the next thing is the name that you want to give that particular expression, right? So I want to write my name, okay? Okay, let's say I want to write my full name, right? So I will start the keyword with whatever keyword I want to use. I will start the expression with whatever keyword I want to use, which is var. And then I'll write the name that I want to give it. The name I want to give it is, let me say, full name. Okay. Okay. Then I will now have equals to. Equals to, you have to have equals to. You're now saying var, set this full name to this thing, right? Set this full name to that. So you're now using equals to, so assign a value or a data to that particular name or that keyword that you selected. So I can now say full name equals to, you remember, I cannot write my name like this. Remember that, right? I cannot just write my name out like this, right? JavaScript doesn't recognize it. When we are assigning values like this, we use strings methods. So start with string, that start with quotes, end with quotes. Okay. Now I'm saying full name is equals to John Adibe. That's what this means. Now under, if I console log full name, what will I get? Now, full name is declared, right? Make sure you're not making mistake with spelling. Now, when you go to JavaScript, case sensitive is very, very important, right? You might have some things you write, you say, but this thing look the same, but they are entirely different things. So it's good to observe case sensitives. If everything is in small letter, represent it in small letter if you are calling it, wherever you want to call it. So my console.log full name. Now, when I console log full name, what will I get? I'm going to see John Doe. Now this is John Doe. Why? Because I have told my JavaScript that a full name is equals to John Doe. If I say full name should be anything at all, right? Let's say full name is equals to we have a Oluwole Miriam, right? Now, if I console log full name, if I'm using full name anywhere, it's going to say what? Oluwole Miriam. Now, when I go back, you can see my log is Oluwole Miriam. Remember line 218? That's line 218, exactly. So this is how to use the var keyword. It's not only for strings, right? You can give it numbers too. Let's say var age equals to, let's say 20, right? End with semicolon. Remember, every declaration or every line or anywhere your declaration end or expression end with a semicolon. Now let's say the age is 20, all right? So when I console log age, wait, let me not have too much console logs. Sorry. Now, if I console log age, instead of full name, let me console log age. What will I get? 20. Now come back here, 20. Just to be sure that this is even it, I can, before it, I can put a string that says age, just a string that represents something, age. Then I'll just put comma after it. So I'm saying age is this. Now, when I come back, I'm going to see age 20. All right. So yeah, that is it for using var. And with var, you can also run operators. You can also use the mathematical operators that we have, the ones we have already discussed. You can give var values and run your calculations too. Okay, so I can say age is 20, and how can I Yeah, nothing is coming to my mind. Var uh ooh, okay, let's say I don't know. I'm just saying anything, right? Clock is or let's say 5. Okay. Now let's say age is 20 and clock is 5. I'm just saying anything, right? It can be any value, it can be anything, depending on what you're trying to represent. Now in my log, I can actually say age plus clock, right? Now, because my age is 20 and clock is 5, so any mathematical operation that I run is still going to run it successfully. So when I run this, if I console log this, I'm going to get 25 because 20 plus 5 is 25. Now back to my, yeah, you can see 25 here. That's line 220, 25. I can do other operations, right? You can do minus 2, right? 20 minus 5, 15. You have your 15. Okay. And times 5, 100, right? So you can do other ones, right? Divide, h divided by, we have 4. Now this also is not much that you're going to do the calculation on your console log. You can create another var that does the calculation together and just render it. I can have another var keyword that says sum, and sum is going to be age, is going to be equals to age plus clock. All right, end it with semicolon. Now when I console log my sum, I'm going to get the sum, that's addition, age plus clock. Now I'm back, I get 25. Now you can see that my sum is now representing the addition between age and clock. You can have other declarations. You can say subtraction, do this, addition, do that, multiplication, do that. Yeah. So that's how to use the var keyword. And the funny thing is that just the way you use your var keyword, you can actually use let keyword in the same way. You can use the const keyword in the same way also, right? Now, after the var, let me say I don't need too much console logs. I think we got this part. Let's say I have let let's part one, let part one equals to 10. Okay, and let part two, sorry, ignore this autocomplete. Let part two equals to 20. Then you can also say let total, can say let total equals to part one and part two. You can actually have let part three, oh sorry, make sure you have space. Let part three equals to 30. Then total will now be part one plus part two plus part three. All right. And when you now console log total, total, total save is going to add 10 plus 20 plus 30, right? All together. Now, when I check, I'm going to get total 60, right? Where I'm getting this total from is because I added this total here, comma, then the real total, total 60, line 227, which is the same line. All right, so that is the same declaration, just the same keyword. Same thing with const. I'll still tell us the difference, when to use let and when to use const. So we have const. We have, I don't want to do calculations again. I want to use say name equals to John Doe. Okay, let me say Jen Doe. All right, ending with semicolon, and then email address, sorry, const email equals to Jane Doe, sorry. Yeah, equals to Jane Doe, yeah, the email. And then we can have console log name. I'll get gender. So now, when do you use const and when do you use let and when do you use var? Now, about var, var is actually currently it is going up. It's not obsolete. You can still use var on your code base, yes, but it is no more advised that you use var. So since 2015, it is best practice you use let or const, right? Var and let almost does the same thing, but const just have a unique thing to it. I'll explain that shortly. Now, var, you can change the value when you're using var or when you're using let. You can change the value on the long run. Now, let's say I have in this particular, this one with let here, after I will change the value of the first part. Let me say part 1 equals to 40. Now, do you notice something? I didn't start with this one with let. Why? Because this particular variable name has been declared already. I cannot redeclare it again. I cannot come down here and say let part 1. I'm going to get error because this particular variable name already exists. There's no need to be declaring it again. This is just me declaring the value all afresh, but it already is. There's no need. It's going to give me an error. If you notice, you can see the red line on my screen. So if you want to change the value, instead of you redeclaring again with let, you can just call the name of the variable name, that is part 1, set it to whatever you want to set it. Now you notice something. At the beginning stage, part 1 was 10, but later it changed to 40. So which value is he going to use now? Is he going to use 10 or 40? He's going to use the last value that was assigned to, which is 40. So by the time I run this total now, my total will no more use 10 as part 1. It's going to use 40 and then add the remaining. So if I console.log this total now, sorry, total, then say total. Initially, it was 10, 20, 30, which is 60. But before I did this calculation, I changed part 1 to 40. So it's now going to do 40 plus 20 plus, 40 plus 20 plus 30, right, which is 90. Yeah, am I correct? Yeah, total is 90. So you see, I changed the value on the long run. So this happens, you use let keyword or the var keyword. See, it's good to know this var keyword exists, but don't use it, right? If you want to, go ahead, but make sure that you're using it very carefully, right? Because it introduces some issues, some errors on the long run, and which you don't want to face, right? So it's best to just focus on let and const, but just know that this exists and is still highly functional. Now, what is happening here is I changed the value of 40 before total was calculated. If I change this value of 40 after total was calculated, let's say I didn't change it here, I changed it after total. Oh, sorry. I changed it after total. Part 1 equals to 40. Yeah? Part 1 equals to 40. Now, which value is it going to use to calculate? It's going to use 10 because I have not changed it before this total was calculated. Now, if I now console.log this total, this is what I get, 60. You notice, I get 60. So it's using the first value to calculate because this doesn't recognize this change. This calculation here doesn't recognize this change. Why it's affected before I did it before I ran the total. So this let keyword is useful when you declare a value and you still want to change it on the long run. Probably you want it to serve this purpose on this particular stage of the code base, and then on the long run, you want it to change its purpose and give it another value so that it's going to suit the remaining purpose I want to use it to calculate. Then you're going to use let keyword. But if you want your information or the value or whatever you're giving that variable name, if you don't want it to change, you use const. Const is more like a constant. It doesn't change, right? I mean, they say change is constant, but leave that one. Yeah, this constant, it doesn't change. So whatever you give this name, it won't change, right? So I cannot say here name. I cannot redeclare this value and say name equals to, probably I don't want name to be Jane Doe anymore. I want name to now be John Doe. It's not going to tell me, throw me an error, but then you're going to see an error here. On const or cut type error, assignment to constant variable. Right? This is just telling us that we cannot change the value of a constant keyword or a variable name that was declared with a constant. So yes, this is it. So if you know that it is never going to change, just like the name of the person, probably, what will not change? Okay, let's say your ID. Your ID will never change, like your identity on a particular platform will never change, right? Throughout the course or the entirety of that platform, the ID will never change. So in that case, or in that scenario, you're going to use the const keyword to represent them. So you don't want nobody, you don't want any developer from anywhere to come and just change it anyhow. Yeah, so that is it. Any question? All right, no question. Ogunyemi Israel.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. John.
Thank you. Israel.
Yeah, I don't seem to get the difference properly between the let keyword and the var keyword. So though I got the part that you said it's good that we know that the var keyword was not advisable to be making use of it. So, but
No,
I don't really get the difference.
Okay, so there is no difference between the let keyword and the var keyword. They do the same thing. You can still reassign a value on the let for the var keyword. Like this thing I did here, I can still, let's say this person, the clock was 5. Then after, I want the clock not to be 5 anymore. I want it to be 10. This works. I'm not going to get any error. You can see no error here, right? And then you can see that I was adding age and clock together. That's 20 and 5, right? 20 plus 5 is 25. But before I did this calculation, that's this sum, I changed clock to 10. So instead of 20 plus 5, it's not going to be 20 plus 10, which is 30. Where is that sum? Oh, I'm not console logging sum, sorry. Console log, let me say sum. Sum here. So when I console log, where's my sum? Yeah, sum is 30. Okay, so it does the same thing with the let keyword. You can still change the value along the line. So they are basically the same thing. So no difference. It's just that it was deprecated, not deprecated, but it was not being like best used after 2015. But it was essential from 1995 to 2015.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome. I guess another question. All right, so okay. Yes, let's talk about other things that this plus sign does, right? Now, if you want to, plus doesn't only work for numbers. You can use plus for string, but now it's doing different thing. When you are using this plus sign for numbers, it is adding them mathematically. But when you're using it for a string, it is just, there's what we call concatenation. Yeah, just adding two things together, like just merging them together, right? So let's say I have my name, okay? Instead of name. Okay, yeah. Let's say I have name and email, right? And I want to join these two things together. I can say on my log name plus email. Okay, name plus email. Now, when I go to my log, I'm going to see Jane Doe as the name, and then janedoe@example.com as the email. Okay, this concatenation comes in handy when you just want to merge two strings together, or even merge. I think it works also for strings and numbers, right? If I have name plus, which number should I use here? Let me use clock. Name plus clock. say I'm going to have gendo and then 10. You see 10 beside it. So it doesn't recognize it as a value or a number to, run a mathematical calculation. Instead, it's just going to join them together. So that's concatenation. Am I getting this pairing? Yeah, concatenation. That's what it is. And there's other ways to do this without concatenation. There's a template literal, right? Am I correct? Yeah, there is another way you can represent this by template literals, right? Template literals, to represent it, you're going to use backtick. Now, to locate backtick on your keyboard, backtick is that key before 1. You know the number rows, right? 1, 2, 3. But before 1, there is a key there that has this kind of look. It looks like a quote. So just press your backtick, open and close. We'll call it backtick. All right. So now to represent backtick, you're going to right now see there's a common issues or common mistakes that people make using backtick. That's template literals. You can say name and email. Backtick is just like a string. If I console log this, I'm going to get name and email. That's it here, right? That's what I'm getting here. It's just like a string, but it just gives us room to add variables within. Okay, we can add variables with template literals. Using template literals is just using the backtick to represent it. Now to use this, since name is a value or a variable, instead of me just writing it out, if I'm writing it out here, just writing it out as a string. For me to write it out so that it's going to listen to this particular variable name here, I'm going to open and close it with a curly braces. So that particular name, open and close the curly braces. Then before the opening curly braces, put a $sign. All right. So this name is now referencing this guy here. Now, when I check my log, instead of seeing name that was here, I'm going to see Gendo, then this email. Here you can see now Gendo, and then the email beside. Okay, so with this template literals, we can pass in a variable within with its value. Okay, now we can change the same thing for the email. Open and close it with a curly braces, and then before it, put a $sign. Then you come back, you're going to see Gendo space. Sorry, Gendo, yeah, space, then the email address. Now this space there is just the space here. So this thing listens to space. If I delete the space between it, come back here, there is no more space. So with this template literals, I can play around. I can play around actually. I don't want name anymore. I can say first name. Oh, yeah, I want name. I can say first name, and then let me just add another constant, H. Now I'm going to get an error here. Yeah, I'm going to get an error here. Let me see. Yeah, of course, I got an error. Identifier age has already been declared. Now, if you have a variable name that you have already declared, you cannot redeclare it with another keyword. Just like you cannot say let part 1 reassign it again. You cannot redeclare it again. Why I'm having that error is because I already have age at the top. I already declared age with the var keyword, right? And then I'm here saying age again, which is not, I don't know, right? No, I'm very old. I'm very old. I'm 50 years. Yeah. All right. So let me just say I don't want this guy. Let me just comment out everything here. Okay, come back here. Yeah, I don't have any error again because it doesn't recognize any declaration age. Now, with this template literal, I can write some things and then add the value within. I can say before the name, I can say my name is space. Okay. Let me put another constant. Let's say occupation. Occupation, UI designer. All right. So I can have all this information, and then in my console log with the template tutorial, that's the backtick expression. I will write my name is name. Then after my name, I can put comma. Make sure you are not putting this comma inside though. It is after you have ended these curly braces. Then comma, you can say my email is, then the email. Then after the email, you can put full stop. I am, let's say age. If I write this age, it's not going to write out age for me. So for me to listen to this particular one, open and close your curly braces, then start with a dollar sign. I am age, whatever value it is, then I can start say years old. And I don't want to use my too much. My name is, my email is, I am, and my occupation. Now let me just write it out. My occupation, sorry, occupation is, where's the occupation again? That's this guy. So occupation. So instead, I'll write occupation. It won't work. So remember, open and close with curly braces, and then put a dollar sign. So now this is a message. And you can see within this message, I have variable names that are bound to change. Okay. Now, when I go back, I'm going to see the information. My name is Jen Doe. My email is John, Jen, blah, blah, blah. I am 50 years old, and my occupation is UI designer. To stop. And all these values, I got them from everything I declared here on the constant, right? So which means I can just change any of this information. I don't need to change this message anymore. So that's why there are some places, or if you visit, you're going to see this thing happens in your email. At times you might get a newsletter and then it's personalized to you. They will write hi Nafisat or hi Elijah. Like it will look like, oh, these people sent me a mail. But this is what they did, right? They just wrote already existing message. Then the places that the value is about to change, they now apply something like this so that whoever is receiving that mail is going to carry the person's name, the person's information, and every other thing. Okay, so you just prefill an information, then change the value depending on wherever that message is going to. Yep. So let me just tweak it a little bit. Remember what we have here. Jendo at example, I'm 50 years old, occupation is UI designer. Then I can just say John, let me just use someone who's on the call. Israel. I can say Israel Okunyemi, right? I can say Israel Okunyemi, right? Then I can just change the email Israel. Israel, just Israel.mail, all right? Israel.do, Israel. Okay, let me just put 20. And then Israel is a front-end developer. That's the occupation. Now, this information is going to change. Earlier, it was Jendo and Jendo details, but now it is now going to be Israel Gunyemi and every other FA details. Now, when I go back, you're going to see my name is Israel Gunyemi. My email is this. I am 20 years old, and my occupation is front-end developer. So this is how to personalize a message. Probably you just want to change only the values, but the message still remains the same. All right, that's it for template literals and also concatenation. I hope you remember the concatenation part, right? Okay, and now let's talk about, there are other operators that I didn't mention, but before I talk about them, let us talk about the remaining data types that we have, okay? I'll just carry this information over here. Really? Sorry, I'm having cough lately. All right, so we have data types, data types, okay? We have already talked about string used for representing text elements, right? Not element, text values, okay? And then we have number. Yeah, we already know number, right? We have also Boolean. Okay, Boolean is just two values. It is either it is true or it is false, right? No arguments. Either it's true or it is false. We have objects. We have objects. Object is more like, yeah, collection of property. Like with the object, you can like write. We'll talk about it here, but with object, you can collect a dictionary or just information about a particular item or a person or a particular entity. You just collect the item specified to that. So that's for objects. Then we have arrays. Arrays is actually part of objects, is like part of objects object data type. Is a kind of object data type, right? But we'll still talk about why is a part of object data type. So we have arrays. Arrays is probably your collection, you're collecting a list of items or a list of people, or in fact tables. All the tables elements are all arrays, right? They are list of informations. Just they all have the same entities. They all have first name, they all have email address, they all have age and every other information, but it just changes. So you just call it a list of, just like the list of everybody on this call is an array. So if I'm collecting list of everybody, I'm going to represent them in an array. Then we have the famous undefined, and we have null. Okay, so we have talked about string, and string, you start it with quotes and end with a quote. We talked about number already. You can represent number as a whole or decimals, but you don't need to start it with a quote. You don't need to end it with a quote. Then we also have booleans. All right, boolean is true or false. If you are running any calculation and the return value is true or false, it means that the value or whatever you're returning is a boolean. In fact, whenever I hear boolean, it's true or false. Now let's talk about boolean. Okay. Now there are how will I put this? There are ways you can check against something just to know if it's true or false. Now, if I ask, is Elijah O on the call? The answer is yes or no. But in JavaScript, it is presented in true or false. And for this condition, it is true because Elijah O is in the call. All right. So I can say CLG, right? I can say is, let me use two values here. Let me just compare two values here. Age equals to, right? Is age equals to, which other one is a number here? Oh, let me put any value here. Is age equals to 15. Now, know when to use double equals to, know when to use 1 equals to. 1 equals to, that's the ones we have here, just this one, is when you are assigning a value, right? That's why you're going to use only 1. You want to assign a particular value to this particular variable name, you use equals to. But when you want to do comparison, right, you want to compare between two things, whether you want to check if this is equals to that, you use double equals to, or even the triple equals to self. Triple is even better because triple will both check the value and the type. So double is comparing. Well, let me first write comparison. Comparison. And then we have double equals to checking equality of the value. Yes, values. Then triple equals to equality of the values and the data type. Like the values are going to be the same and the data type are also going to be the same. So that's the triple equals to. Data type is going to be the same. Data type of 15 is a number. Data type of age is also a number. If I hover on it, yeah, it's a number because age is set to a number. When I hover on it here, why? It's supposed to just show me number. All right, no problem. But yeah, I set to a number. So now, is age equals to 15? What is the system going to tell me? The system is going to tell me it is true or false, right? Now, when I check, I'm going to get false here. See the false value. So this is how Booleans are being represented. You can write the false out without starting with a quote or ending with a quote. It's a type on its own. Now, what is age? Age is 20, right? And 20 is not equal to 15. Now, if I say age equals to 20, what will I get? Obviously true, because the age is 20. Now, when I check, I have true, right? So this is mostly used when you want to compare between two things, right? And I just brought out two other comparison operators, right? And still under Boolean, we are not done. We're still going to talk about objects and arrays and every other thing. Still under Boolean, we have other comparison operators. We have greater than, okay? In fact, we have all of them. We have greater than, this one is greater than, this one is less than, this one is greater than or equals to, this one is less than or equals to. The one that has equals to after it is whatever the symbol is, and then the equals to. All right. All right. So let's see. This is for, okay, let me just use this one and still confirm. So now let me say, instead of double equals to, I'm going to say greater than, right? The greater than, we know how to find out on our keyboard. So I'm now saying, is age greater than 20? What would the value be? What is age, first of all? Age is 20, right? And we are saying, is 20 greater than 20? Of course, the answer is false. 20 is not greater than 20. 20 is equal to 20. So when I check this value, I'm going to get false, right? Because age is not greater than 20. Our age is 20. But when I say, is age greater than or equals to, remember the equals to sign, right? Is age greater than or equals to 20? What will I get? True. Because age is not greater than, but it is equals to 20. And it is part of the condition. Let me just have all these things listed out here. You are doing mathematics all over again. Okay. Less than. Greater than. Okay. Less than or equals. And then this is no. This is greater than. Wait, what have I been writing here since greater than? Then this is less than. So this is greater than or equals. Then this is less than or equals. All right. So yeah. So just like we use greater than. In fact, let me put a value. Let me increase this value. 50. What will I get? The answer is false. Age is 20 and age is not greater than 50 and it's not even equal to 50. So this is blatantly false. So back we have false. All right. So yeah, that's for this comparison. You can still use these comparisons in other methods, right? We are still going to talk about conditional statements, and these comparisons will come in handy when we are talking about conditional statements. We still have other comparisons symbols. We have not equals to, right? So not equals to means you are saying this is not equals to this, right? And to represent that, it is exclamation mark and then equals to beside it, no space. Exclamation mark and then equals to. Now, if I say age is not equals to, yeah, let me use one. age is not equals to 50. What is the answer? The answer is true, because I am saying age is not equals to 50, and it is true because age is 20 and we are comparing it against 50. Back, we have true is not equals to. But then when they are the same, let's say age is 20 and I make this one the same thing with 20. 20 is going to give me false because they are equal, and I'm saying they are not equal, right? It's false, right? So yeah, that's it for comparisons. Yeah, we have one. You can use one to compare the values. Then you can use double exclamation to compare both the values and the data type. Okay. All right. Okay, that's for Boolean. All right. So you can really represent a Boolean in true or false. Now, the time I was writing this, there was a point where um I can say constant is married true, right? Is married, is that true or false? We are not contemplating whether you are any other thing. We just want, are you married? True or false? So is married can be represented with true, and there are other values that can be represented with true. You can say, let's say false, right? You can say constant is a single. Which one? No, let's say is um I want something that will align with false. Is day time. I understood that most of us are not watching in the same time zone, but my current time zone, it is 9 o'clock, no, 20 past 9 already. So which is night, and I'm saying it's daytime. It's daytime is going to be at this moment false because currently it is not daytime, it is night time. So you can, there's a lot of them, right? Either it's true or it is false. Okay. And yep, yeah, let's see. Okay, then naming convention, yes. Because if you notice, I just started writing this with small, I said this one started with capital. Then naming convention, there is a convention you is comfortable to use when you are writing your variable names, right? Naming conventions. Now, the first thing about this convention self, let me just say, the first thing you need to know about conventions is indentation. I've been talking about this indentation since we started HTML. I want to embed it in us so that we'll get used to it and grow with it, right? It's just going to be used to us as we progress. It plays a major role in writing a clean code, right? Convention, just normal convention. This one is not naming. Both in your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Indent. Make sure you have everything you make sure you don't have a long HTML line or a long CSS line or a long JavaScript line that if I want to view it, I have to scroll to the end of from Genesis to Revelation before I can see everything that he wrote. So it's best to use indentation. Indentation is just like, enter, like wrote the remaining things under it, right? So what are the naming conventions? First, we have normal. Yeah, you can, let's say camel case. Okay. Camel case is, we all know camel, right? Camel case is you have two letters. You have two letters and you want to like call this variable. You want to give this variable two letters. So you're going to start the first letter with a small letter. Then the next one you're going to start with a capital letter. That's camel case. In this scenario, I can say full and name are two different things, right? But if you're giving your variable names, you don't need to put a space between them. If you put a space, you're just going to have a blatant error. So make sure there is no space. Then the next thing, the next letter can start with capital. This is an example of a camel case. Okay. We have other ones. Yeah, we have email address, email and address. All right. We have, I even use one here, so is married. Yeah, you can see that it started with a small letter, but then the next name, that's the married, started with capital. So I can say is married. So this is camel case. Okay, then this is how to write your variable names. Then you can actually write in snake case. Okay, snake case is snake now, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, right? So in snake case, you're just going to use the underscore to separate each variable, each names between each other, right? In this case, full name, if you want to write full name in a snake case, you're going to write full, then underscore name. Same thing with email address, email underscore address, is underscore married, right? So this is for snake case. Then for we have kebab case. Sorry, the autocomplete. Yeah, we have kebab case, right? Kebab case is you using hyphen to separate this, but you cannot use this particular one in variable name. It's going to throw error, right? This kebab case is when you if I change my name now to kebab case, I'm going to get error because you can't use kebab case on variable names, but you can use snake case actually. But let's see if I change this to snake case. Let's see if it works. Yeah, it works, right? And yeah, you can use kebab case in variable name, but you can use it to give your text. You can use it to give a distinction between your text. And this kebab case is actually advised to use it while on your naming conventions for your files or folders or anything. Anyway, anyone you want to use actually for your folders. My folder here is image, right? So I can have some other thing. Let's say my profile image. I want to write this profile image in kebab case. I will just say my then hyphen profile. I told us that it's not good to leave spaces between names on your files, right? It's my work now, but when you start using frameworks, you just be having complete error. So it is best to get used to it now. I was going through the assignments, and most of us are still leaving space between. It's fine. Instead of having space here, you just merge it with a hyphen. That's the kebab case. Then save it. But in this case, I just want it to be profile. So that is it for kebab case. We have other ones. We have Pascal case. Yeah, we have Pascal case. And the difference between Pascal case and camel case is the first letter is starting with capital, right? In camel case, you start with small, then every other one will just be capital. You can actually full name. Yeah, just you can have other ones. You can have yeah, it's daytime. It's daytime is actually 3 word, right? And you can see is capital D and then capital time. Writing it in snake case like this, in kebab case like this, that's hyphen instead of underscore. Then in Pascal case, everything capital, capital I, capital D, capital T. So it's good to know all these cases, when to use them. Avoid kebab when you are writing, when you are declaring your variable names. It will give you error. But every other one works fine. So yes, that's it for naming conventions. So any question though? I'll proceed. All right, we are still under data types, right? We are talking about Boolean before we went into naming conventions, and before we went into comparisons too, okay? And these comparisons, they are just returning Boolean. Either they return true or they return false. That's why we have to discuss on them to make more reference on Boolean. And we also created 2 variable names. It's married, true. That's the person is married. Is daytime, false. That is not daytime, or whatever value you want to give. Now that's for Boolean. We have objects. These are other data type objects, right? It is used for collecting properties of a particular entity or an item or a declare anything at all, you use objects to render it. And this is how to write objects. Okay, yeah, I think we need this definition. Yeah, objects are used to store data. Every other thing I use to store data. Objects are a collection of properties. Yeah, properties are key and value pairs. Yeah, methods and function that belong to an object. Okay, no, we're not going to function yet. This is too far. Yeah, they are used to store a data. Yeah. Now, how can we represent an object? You can say constant person. All right, equals to. Now I want to write the object or the collection of the particular person. Right. In this one, I'm going to say full name. Sorry, full name. Full name John Doe. Everything I'm writing. Oh, I didn't even tell you. For objects, you need to start it with curly braces. All right. You need to start objects with curly braces. Write your keyword, the name of the variable name, yes, equals to you're assigning this particular information to this particular variable name. And then the second part of this definition says properties, that's objects, are made up of key and value. All right. So the first one on the left side is the key. Then whatever you have here is the value, right? This is how to write objects. Start with curly braces, key, value, comma, under it, key, value. Why am I not using semicolon here? No, I'm not using semicolon here because I'm not done writing the information or the properties of this particular person, right? So I'm going to use comma. I have other ones to write instead of semicolon. I've not ended. So by the time I'm done, which is at this end, I'll put my semicolon. But within it, it is comma. So next one is email address, age 20, occupation front-end developer, is married or is married, true, gender. You can have a lot of information about this particular person. Gender, male. Okay. What else? Please help me. Complexion, right? Are we still talking about? Yeah, complexion. I hope I spelled this right. Complexion. If I made a mistake with spelling, pity me. Complexion, dark, the dark in complexion. His data and calm down. This is just properties about this particular person, right? There is a lot of information that you can have. You can actually have a ID. You can have ID here. You can have every other information, right? Is okay. Role. Yeah, this is important. Role, admin. Admin. Yes, admin, right? So you can see these are the properties of this person. We can have more, right? These are the properties of this particular person. John Doe, email address, John, at example, age, front-end developer. This is just more like what we did here. But instead of declaring everything one, we now grouped it under an object so that whenever we call person anywhere, we have all the full information of that particular person. Now, how do we treat objects? Let me console.log person. CLG person. Okay. When you come back, you are going to see this is how your console shows objects. Just expand it. You'll see all the information here. This will just like arrange it in what's this alphabetical order. Age, complexion, email address, full name, gender, is married, occupation, role, right? These are how objects are. Key value, key value, key value, key value, just like that, all the way to the last one. Okay. Now, with objects, we can specify a particular property that we want to select. Let's say somewhere along the application, I don't want all this full information. I just want to know if this person is married. Okay. Now, for me to select this is how to select a particular property in an object. You're going to use full stop. That's the period, right? Full stop. And when you type full stop, this full stop is just you saying I want to select a particular property from this particular person, right? Then if I say full stop, I'm going to write the name of the property I want to select. That is married. Now, when I do this, I am no more getting all this information. I'm only getting the value of is married. Going back, I'm going to see true. Where is this true coming from? Well, let me put is married before it so we can see is married. Just typing this out just to be sure. Yeah, you can see that's the last one. Is married. True. Okay, that's line 282. Now I'm selecting is married. Okay, I can do the same thing for every other property here, right? Let's say I want to select another property. Let's say the role of this person is going to come in handy when you are building a dashboard, admin dashboard, to select a roles and do different thing for this particular role. So let's say dot row. The good thing is immediately you put dots, it's going to bring this panel for you to choose. This panel will just show you all the ones in this cuboid. This is cuboid, right? All the ones in this cuboid are the valid properties under this person. If you're not seeing it, normal thing, Control spacebar is going to bring it up. So you can see all the properties. Now I can select only row. I'll change this thing to row. Just no more married row. Okay. Now when I come back, role is admin because my role is admin. Now, this is not the only way to select. It's not must you're going to use full stop, right? There's other ways to do this. So instead of full stop, you're going to use square brackets. Square brackets, open and close, right? There's no using dot. This is another way to select a property. This one, you're not using dots. You just use a square bracket. Then you say index, put an index, open and close. It's going to show you all the valid properties. Now I can select row. Either of them works, right? You see that you select it like this, person.row or person, square brackets, then open and close your quotes, then specify the property you want to select. Then when you go back, you're going to see the row. If I change it to occupation, I'll change this one to occupation so I can see it very clearly. Yeah, this is occupation. Okay. Occupation is this. Now, yes, this is how to select a property from an object. Now, if I want to change something, I'm going to use the let keyword instead of the constant keyword, right? If I want to change, let's say this person is this, and after a year, I want to increase the age, right? I can just say, instead of constant, let me use let quickly and see what happens. Person. Then to change this value, I'm going to say person dot age equals to. You see, I'm no more saying let person dot age. No, I don't need to redeclare this again. This person already exists. I just want to select the property and change the value. Now, this person was 20 years old, right? Now I want him to be 21 now. I can just say 21. Then if I console.log person, okay, let me just select person dot age here. Let me select age. Now when I come back, I'm going to see age is 21 because later on I change the age to be 21. Now if I do this thing before I log it out, I'm going to get 20. I'm not going to get 21 because by this time, before it's logging it out, it is still 20. Then after I change to 21, if I go back, it's 20. So the position at which you are modifying your values or variables matters, right? Okay, so yes, that is it. I can actually make this thing, instead of me just writing 21, I can say person.age equals to person.age again plus 1. All right, plus 1 means whatever the person's age is, add it to 1. I'm saying person.age equals to person.age plus 1. Come back, I'm going to get 21. So whatever value I have here, just going to add plus 1 to it. 50, 51. If I say plus 5, I mean, we know what will happen, right? Yes. So that is it for objects. Okay, let me change this thing back to const. Okay. Okay. Okay, it is actually changing for const. All right. All right. A lot of things just happens, right? You don't know it all. Yeah. So yeah, that's it for objects. This is how to represent objects. Okay. And there's a lot of ways. There's a lot of methods on how to read object values, read the keywords and everything. But that's more advanced part of JavaScript, right? So let's talk about arrays. Any question on objects? No question? Cool. So let's talk about arrays. So this is how to represent arrays. All right, so arrays are a collection of values. This is just like a collection of properties of a particular entity, right? But this one is just collecting these values. Now with arrays, you can have multiple persons under an array. Okay. Now, properties is index and value. I'll show you why it is index and value. This is how to represent your array. Okay, I like this example. Constant. Let's start small. Days. Okay, equals to now. This is how to represent arrays. You start with a square bracket, open and close. Okay, open and close a square bracket. Then within, we want to represent text, right? We want to represent days. Monday, open and close is a quotation, then comma, Tuesday, open and close quotation, comma, Wednesday, comma, Thursday, comma, Friday. We have Sunday, we have Saturday too. But these are just the work days, right? So if I console log days, CLG days, then go to my log, I'm going to see the log here. I'm going to see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Okay. Now, when I expand this, you see that everything is like in a key and value pairs. Okay. Just like how object is. That's why I said array is part of object data type. It's like generated, it's like derived from object, it's dependent on object data type. Yeah, but when you are doing your thing, you're not writing it as an object, you're just writing it in this form. But your system is reading it as an object and just assigning index to it. And this index is just like the position of where that particular item is on the array. And for JavaScript, index, if you want to calculate the positions of that script, you're not starting from 1, you're starting from 0. All right. So there is this meme online, online that people are, I don't want to go into context, but yeah. So a developer, someone asks a developer, is this your priority? The developer will respond, yes, this is the number 1 of my priority. But in a developer sense, it is not the number 1. The number 1 particular thing there is the index of 0. That's 0 is the first item there. Okay, so just something I just need to drop there to cool this particular topic off. So yes, this is how to represent your arrays. Then when I go back, you can see the first key is 0, right? Then the value is Monday. Second key 1, value is Tuesday. Third key 2, value is Wednesday, just like that. Okay. And yes, you can say index of this, how to select a particular index in arrays. In objects, you just select the property person.age. But in arrays, you cannot say dot because you don't know the particular one you're selecting, right? You just say put a square bracket, open and close, then say index of that particular one. Monday is 0, Tuesday is 1, Wednesday is 2, Thursday is 3, Friday is 4. Okay. So if I say days, index of 0, which one is it selecting? It's selecting the first item there, which is Monday. So when I console log, I'm just going to get Monday. All right. So the same thing, if I say index of 1, I want to select the index of one here, the one which the index of one, which is this Tuesday. Going back, I'm going to get Tuesday. Same thing. This is 2, right? Then change this to 2. Yes, I get Wednesday, which is the index of 2. Okay, so this is how to select index. Selecting value by index. That's why we have properties in index and then values. And then index starts from 0, right? Now, there's other ways you can work with arrays, okay? You can say, I want to know the length of this particular array, okay? I can just say days dot length. Days dot length is a method in arrays. You can use it in array to find the length of that particular array. Now, it is just going to calculate the length on the normal numbering form that we know, starting from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this one is not using index to do its own calculation. So how many items do you have here? 5. So if you say days dot length, it's going to give you 5. This will come in handy when you just want to know the number of collections that you have gathered. You want to check against something. Okay, is this array up to this? If it's up to this, I want to do that. So you can use dot length to do that. And you can, yes, this is how to set arrays. And it's not much, it's going to be a string of, it's not much, it's going to be anything, right? It can be an object. You can also have array in an array. Now let's say constants, users, open and close, right? This is going to contain the users that I have in my project or in my platform or in my application, just like you have in WhatsApp, just like we have you guys here on the call, right? And we are how many? We are 19 on the call. So if I say users, I am saying everybody, collecting the properties of everybody on this call. Now I can represent it in an object. So you can write an object inside an array. Okay. So I can say full name, Elijah. Is a string. Elijah O, and then what else? We have email address. Email address can be anything, right? Okay. Well, I don't want all this, it's too much. We'll probably not age. We can have email. We can have occupation. Yeah, we can have occupation. Yeah, let's just have this tree for now, okay? And then just like you have this object inside this array, you can have other ones, and they are all going to have these same properties: email, email, full name, and then occupation. So after you ended the first object, still in same array square brackets, under it, you press another object that has the same properties: full name again, Israel. Yes, we have occupation front-end developer. We can have another person. Probably you're just collecting a list of people that came to the call today, right? Just like that, you can full name, full name, John Doe, occupation. Yes. So you can also have objects in an array. You can have strings in an array. You can have job objects in an array. You can actually have numbers in an array. You can have anything on the data type inside an array. Okay, so when I console log users, this I'm going to get 3 items because I have only 3 items there, and each of these items is on their own objects. So collapse, we have full name, that's the object for properties for Elijah, properties for Israel, properties for John Doe. We can have a lot of them, right? Like this is just how to collect, use arrays. And there are a lot of methods that come with arrays. So aside the length, you can actually remove the last item. Okay, you can remove the last item with pop. Let's say I want to remove the last item from an array. I can say users dot pop. The last item is John Doe. Now, when I console log, wait, what? Okay, what just happened? Oh, okay, yeah, yes. It is selecting, this is just selecting the last item, sorry. It is going to select the last item, okay? So if I console log users now, I am console logging users.pop. So if I console log users, okay, let me just say users.pop first here. And then if I console log only users, you see that these users.pop here have removed the last item. So what I will now have is only Elijah and Israel. Okay. Then when I come back, I have only two items in my array, which is Elijah, properties for Elijah, and then properties for Israel. So we have a lot of them, right? I urge us to just, research on them, play around, just to, get familiarized with other methods that comes with arrays. There are methods that come with object too, right? There are other ones. You can do a lot with it. Yeah, the same thing, just like you selected this with the index of 2, you can do the same thing here. Users index of 0. I'm selecting the first item, that's Elijah. So when I console log, I'm going to have only Elijah's information because that's the one I selected from my array. Okay. Any question? All right. Let's. What was the time? Oh, okay. We have taken a lot. So now your script tag. When I started talking about CSS, we talked about the inline CSS. We talked about internal CSS. That's the one you write on the header. We also talked about the external CSS, and I get to let us know that external CSS is best, right? It is good to have a dedicated file for a particular purpose, right? This file is for HTML. I want only HTML stuff in this file. This file is for CSS. Another file is for say I want only CSS stuff there. Then when I'm doing JavaScript, you can see that JavaScript, the syntax, the way you do it, the way you write it is not the same with HTML. So I want to treat this also as a dedicated file. Now, it is good to know that you can write your JavaScript inside your HTML, right? But also, you can create a JavaScript file and add all these things on there, all right? Now, remember, you have index.html. Why do we have the HTML? We're telling the system this is HTML file, treat it as HTML. We have styles.css. Why do we have the CSS? Because we're telling system this is our CSS file, what we use in styling, treat it as such. Then we can create a JavaScript file. Now, if I get to the JavaScript file, the extension is .js. Now, I can say create new file. I can call the file script .js. Okay, this is how to write JavaScript file. You can call it anything. Script is just me giving a script, right? You can name it anything, right? But just make sure it ends with .js. Now, if I want to copy all these things, I don't want to have all these things inside my HTML file. So I can just copy everything here. I'll just cut it out, right? Then paste it inside my script.js file. Now, how can I link this script file to my HTML? Remember, we have to link CSS here so that my HTML will be able to recognize this file and use it, right? Now, if I save, you notice that my logs are cleared. Yes, because I have not linked this script to my HTML. Now, how to do it is on the opening tag, it's just like an attribute, right? On the opening tag of your script, you must have a script at the bottom of your body. Then on the opening tag, you just create space, then write src. That's the source, equals to, open and close your quotation, just the way you write attribute, then script.js. Now, when we do this, if we go back, we're going to see all our logs, scripts loaded, everything we logged out. So which means my HTML now responds or listens to my JavaScript. Okay. So yes, this is how to have a dedicated file for your JavaScript. And then you know that everything here is just HTML. You're just linking CS and JavaScript here. So now we have it dedicated. We can now do more as we want, but because of time constraints, we might have to end it here today. Now, if you have any question, please ask. Please, if you have any question, ask. No question. All right. The absence of no question. I hope we all, took one or two things from just the new introduction we have today, just the JavaScript. And also along the line, if there's anything bothering you, I'll still be dropping the assignments on the Slack. If there's anything bothering you, whether it's JavaScript, CSS, HTML, reach out to me. And also try out that front-end method that I shared. While you are learning JavaScript, it's also good to be brushing up your CSS and HTML. One thing I noticed about life is if you leave something, it will leave you, right? If you don't practice it, you will never be good at it. It's just that simple. You can never learn an instrument by watching the videos or tutorials of that particular instrument. You have to play that instrument to actually be good at it, right? So the playing part is you trying out other challenges, not only the assignment. The assignment should just be a springboard for you. You can try other harder tasks, greater than even the one stronger than what I gave you as an assignment, just to test your test your knowledge on just the things you claim you have learned. And if you have any question along the line, reach out, ask your questions, and again, I will be readily available to answer them.